Hey everybody, it's Robin. Hold on, there we go. Okay, I'm doing 2 lives at once, so I'm trying to have both cameras going. Today I'm going to show you how to take your dough and make it sticky buns, cinnamon buns, whatever you know them as. First thing I am going to do before I start playing with my dough though is prepare my pans. I use stoneware pans with parchment paper. Parchment paper doesn't sit well in pans. Watch. It's such a stress reliever. Crumple it up, lay it in, and it sits much better. Into my pan, I'm putting 1 whole stick of butter. On top of that butter, I'm going to sprinkle some cinnamon. And I want the sprinkle, not the pour side. And then brown sugar. And this is all eyeball. I just know how much my mom used to put, and that's whose recipe I'm following for my pans. Yep, that's about right. That is what it should look like. We're going to real quick do the other one. Same thing. Sprinkle front, roll it up. Tuck it into your pan. Put your stick of butter. Put your brown sugar, and it really doesn't matter if you put the brown sugar first or second or third or where you put it. You just got to put the brown sugar in. And we're going to do about the same amount. Yep, that looks about right. My cinnamon. And I'm very cautious with cinnamon because I have opened the pour side and it's a big mess. Okay, I'm going to pop these in the oven and we're going to play with dough. And my oven is just warming at 350, which is what my cinnamon buns are making at. So I'm just going to let this do its magic while my oven is heating. Okay, now to the dough. Let's get the butter papers out of the way. Put them over there. I need some flour. That should be enough. I have a bowl of melted butter here that I'm gonna show you what to do with. And I'm gonna dump out my sourdough dough. Woohoo! That came out beautifully. Just keep it in the flour. Now, with this dough, this is a double batch. So that means it'll fill both pans. What you do need to remember is they do have a rise time after you stretch and spread your dough. So I'm going to let this sit for a minute because dough, when you stretch it to roll it, it has to relax. So I did the first stretch by hand. While that sits and relaxes, and I talk nice to it. It's so nice, so pretty. I'm gonna mix up my filling. Vanilla into my melted butter. Yep, about that much. Regular white sugar into my melted butter. Brown sugar into my melted butter. And this is what makes them gooey and super delicious. Come on, there we go. And my pastry brush into my melted butter. And now my cinnamon. If you were going to add nuts or raisins to your cinnamon buns, which some people do, sticky buns sometimes have that, and I use the two terms interchangeably. My mom always called them sticky buns. Now they're called cinnamon buns. Same thing in my house. So if you are going to add nuts or raisins, once you paint this on is when you would add that. You would also add it into the pan when it comes out of the oven before you put your buns into it. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for a hot minute while I get my rolling pin. And don't come at me, it's a bottle of wine. It works really well. And I'm going to roll this out as big as I can and as rectangular as I can. That's vital. Now, in this dough is eggs, sugar, vanilla, butter, and my sourdough starter. That is it. It's a simple dough. And it's super nice to work with, super easy to work with, and it does relax really well. Like, I'm way bigger than I was when we started this. And that's a good thing. You want that. You want it to have that stretch. You want it to have that forgiveness. And we're going to roll that up. Push that side up. Get this side down. Okay. Crash bang. And I'm trying to just get it even thickness all the way around. I mixed this dough yesterday. I did stretch and folds. I let it bulk ferment so that it rose on its own and everything incorporated together, and now it's baking time. It does have to rise one more time once I cut it, but that happens in the warm pans. I put a couple towels over it, let them sit. They raise in about half an hour, and that's it. Okay, so my dough is spread out. It's side to side here. It's front to back here. It's really big. I am going to take my container of yumminess and I'm going to paint this whole thing. Corner to corner, edge to edge. Paint this thick and gooey, because the thicker you make it, the gooier they are, the more indulgent they are. Once these come out, I will let them cool, and then for serving, I reheat and top with a cream cheese frosting and serve them that way. You can eat them plain. I happen to like the frosting, but I happen to like my cinnamon buns plain. So I have the frosting on the side of mine and dip it, rather than putting it on top of my cinnamon bun. If this is your first time here with me, I do all things kitchen. I will tell you how to make easy family meals. I will tell you how to make elegant family meals. I will get you through holidays, summer, barbecues, and I also bring you along on my sourdough journey. I am loving my sourdough journey. It has been so much fun. I have a little fluff floating around. And one of my favorite things to do is make cinnamon buns that I can share, because I do share all of my, I knew that piece of fluff was going to land someplace, and it landed right in my dough. Of course it did. There we go. Got it out. And I love to make cinnamon buns because I can share them with more people. I also make sandwich bread. I also make Italian sesame bread with it. I make regular sourdough loaves with it. I make inclusion loaves. I make crackers. I make focaccia. You name it, I'm making it with my sourdough. My next thing I want to try, and I need to have a party for this, is a focaccia charcuterie board. Say that 10 times fast, and don't have a glass of wine. You actually make your dough into your charcuterie board. Looks so fun. So that's my next project for my next family dinner when I've got company coming to do. Okay, I am laying this on thick. As you can see, I've gone through a lot of my liquid. If you have liquid left, which is fine, just pour it into the pan before you put your cut rolls into your pan. That's literally how this works. The more goo, the better. And if any of you have ever experienced my mom's cinnamon buns, sticky buns, you know, she was the queen of making them gooey and ooey and just decadent. And this, if you had kiddos, would be a fun project because they could literally paint this on for you. It could be a way for them to help because nothing is hot. This is room temperature at this point. My butter I just melted and then let it sit. So this would be an easy kiddo assist. And it's kind of fun because if you include your kids, if they take them to a teacher or a friend, they can say, I did it. And that's something that, you know, is valuable to everyone in life, not just adults, kiddos too. So I included my kids in baking very young. And I don't know that they enjoyed it, but they certainly learned. And they knew that they could find a recipe and go, oh, can we make this? And I'd say, sure. Because if they found it, they were engaged. And that is what was important to me. Okay, I'm going to put a little more up here. A little more up here. And this was 2 sticks of butter in with the brown sugar, the vanilla, the cinnamon. So just so you have a rough idea of how much butter I've just gone through. It was a lot. And that's okay. That's what makes them amazing. Okay, we are covered and coated. We're going to start to roll. Put this over here because it's sticky and drippy and I don't need it in my way. Now you take your long edge, fold it over, and I slide mine back so that I make it as small as possible. So my side edge is only about that much folded in, and you literally roll these up. And I want to bring you guys down here so maybe you can see me rolling. Whoop, okay. I stand right now to hold it, but you might be able to see. Okay, see I'm literally just rolling my dough gently because it is trying to raise again, because that's what dough does, especially with active starter. And if I get lots of flour, I'm just brushing it off. These could be made in a cast iron if that's what you've got. These could be made in a disposable pan if that's what you've got. Use what you have, make it easy for you, and share. Like I said, this was a double batch, so it was, you know, a bigger batch, but you can certainly just make a single batch for your family for a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning as a treat, a snow day treat. Years ago, I started baking on snow days, and cinnamon buns were one of the first things I baked as a giveaway, because I would give them to my plow guy, to my shovel guy, you know, to the neighbors who were snowed in too. We were all in the snow battle together. And my neighbor at one point in my life was a chef, and he came over after the one storm and he had a jar for me. And I'm like, Anthony, what is in that jar? It was a little jar and it had a little something in it. He said, this is payment for those cinnamon buns. I said, what? And I looked closer at it. It was imported, now I can't think of it, strings of saffron that are wicked expensive. If you've ever needed saffron for a recipe, you know it is not cheap. And he brought me over like 4 threads of saffron. And he said that's payment for those sticky buns because they were amazing. And ever since after that, I always baked him and his house fresh buns because they loved them. And not all chefs bake. Some chefs do, but not all do. Okay, so I've got my roll. I'm going to try to show you. That is what it looks like all rolled up. See the end? Yep. Okay. So my dough is rolled, and I just kind of squeeze it together, spread it out more, and I'm going to pull out one of my pans at a time so that we don't have any burning incidences in the kitchen. So this is what we've got. And it's all melted in my parchment, and I keep it on my parchment. I'm going to stick that right there. And I will take my pastry brush from this, and I'll just break this up, spread it out. This will all incorporate in. It'll be delicious. It doesn't matter what it looks like at this moment in time. Just kind of stir it around. I feel like a Bob Ross. Make happy little trees. Just tap it around. Okay, and it's all stirred up. The butter is all melted. My brown sugar and cinnamon are all combined. I'm going to take part of this leftover and just pour that in with this. I'll save part for the other pan. Incorporate them. It's the same thing. One has a little vanilla. Not gonna hurt you. And now, knife. I'm gonna use the bread knife. Woohoo! This is from when I had a restaurant. This was what I used to cut briskets with because I had 30 to 50 pound briskets. This cut briskets really well. Now it's a bread knife. And I'm literally gonna just cut through my dough. And they're gonna be about that thick, about that big. And I always, for some reason, put the end one in the middle of my pan. I don't know why. That's, again, what my mom did. And I'm leaving space between these because they will rise as they sit before they go into the oven. And it's okay if they kind of come unwrapped because they will bake together. So I'm only doing 3 across in this pan, so that I have spacing between each so they can all breathe and be happy. Dough is not difficult, folks. It's just making it happy. I'm just putting these in the pan. That's okay if you pinch them a little bit when you pick them up. They bounce right back. Ooh, I need a little one for that corner. So I'm going to take the other little end because that corner is a little tight because that last one is a little big. And there we have our cinnamon buns in the pan. That's warm, in warm, gooey butter. I'm trying to show you guys, showing you guys. And now these are going to go over on the stove. My stove, by the way, is not on. Just don't panic, anybody. And I have linen tea towels that I've acquired over the years. That's going to sit over there to just kind of keep them warm and happy. I'm going to cut the other one, do the same thing, pop it in the oven. They bake for about 35 minutes, 30, 35 minutes. I watch them. When they come out immediately, I will flip both pans over onto a cookie sheet and take off the parchment paper, making sure that all that gooiness goes into them as I flip them. And then they cool and we eat them. They're wonderful. The other thing I wanted to show you, as most of you know, I've been doing crackers. That was Gruyere. This one was cheddar. They're supposed to be goldfish crackers. Well, I didn't have a goldfish cutter until today. My goldfish cutter arrived. I will be making discard crackers maybe this evening or tomorrow, and trying out my new goldfish cutter. I'm so excited. How silly, right? A little goldfish cutter. I think it was like $7. It was like no money. But how cute is that? Just a little goldfish cutter. Guys, I hope you have a fabulous Thursday. I hope that you can find some happiness in your kitchen doing what you love. And I hope that you enjoy what I've shared. I will post pictures of the finished product in a couple hours. Have a great afternoon. Love you all. Bye. Don't know how to stop you, so I gotta figure that one out. But I can stop you.